Hey everybody, Derek here, and here to bring you another video for Sons of Anarchy. After last night's episode, we got to see the promo for the upcoming new episode, or I think it might have actually been a promo for several episodes, scenes from a couple of episodes coming up. Because some of the scenes just didn't seem like they could get resolved all in one episode. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm definitely interested to see what they have in store. I'm going to give my thoughts on the promo and try to give some predictions about what's going to happen next. So, just in case you did not see Sons of Anarchy last night, you're still getting caught up on the series, do not watch this video because it is going to contain spoilers. Okay. So, as we know, last night ended with Jax killing a member of Lynn's crew, and because basically Gemma said that this was the guy that she saw coming out of Tara and Jax's house when Tara was killed. So Jax believes that he was the one that did it, and Jax just killed him in a brutal way. I mean, this is the man that he figured killed his wife, and he was going to exact revenge on this guy. I mean, he used various tools. He, put salt in the guy's wounds. I mean, it was brutal. Even just the parts you got to see, and just right at the end when he stabs the large fork into the back of his head, just absolutely brutal. And I know that Jax has a lot of hate in his heart right now that he definitely has to get out, and he took it out on that guy for sure. And basically, we see in the preview that he basically tells Nero that Lynn hired somebody to kill his wife. And Nero is basically trying to say, no, wait, you need to think this out, Jax. And, perhaps we might, well, I think we're definitely going to see that Jax is basically not going to listen to Nero, because we see that there are various gun battles in these episodes in the future, and they do feature the Chinese people under Lin firing them. So I pretty much get the image that Jax doesn't really care at this point. He's going to go after Lin, and he's going to try to kill him and his crew for killing Tara. And that could have some very serious consequences. I mean, we see in this preview, various gun battles. We see bikers going down the street shooting. Now, we don't know necessarily whether they were Mayans or Sons or Grim Bastards or who they were going down the road. But I think that one way or the other, this war against the Chinese is definitely going to have negative consequences for Jax and the Sons. I mean, there's just no way that this is going to go unscathed. And I think that Alvarez is going to see this as Jax basically just going back on his word that he's not trustworthy, that he's really out to get these groups, because he thinks that maybe the Suns and the Niners are going to be the ultimate powers in California, and Alvarez just isn't going to have any of it. And I think we may see a battle between these groups, because I just don't think it's going to be everything's great, because otherwise what kind of a final season would that be? You know what I'm saying? But I just think that going after the Chinese is definitely going to be a bad move for the club, especially after Jax's talks of peace. I mean, I think that, that a lot of people, part of me was wondering, like, well, why didn't Jax check up on this more? Well, the thing is that this season's really going to, I think, focus on where rage can take you and how revenge can just cloud your judgment so much that you don't think clearly. I mean, back before this, if something like this would happen, they'd be more willing to, investigate into it. And I just think that Jax is just so filled with rage that anything he's told, he's going to believe. And I think that that's something that's very big for the club. And part of me also was like, well, why did he have so much trust in Gemma? Because I think he should have definitely been thinking about that maybe Gemma wasn't telling the truth. I mean, Gemma has lied in the past, and I just would have thought that maybe Jax would have investigated a little more to really find out if these claims were true. Because, Gemma lied about what happened with the boys. She has not always told the truth. And you would think that Jax would have, caught on to that and maybe investigated the claim, talked with Lynn. But again, it's about the fact that he is so full of rage that he just can't think. He's not thinking. And that's something that's definitely very important, again, for this season. Like, I feel like Jax is just going to be making decisions that are based on getting his revenge and killing anybody that he thinks was involved with killing Tara. And if anybody else tries to get in his way, he's going to kill them too. And I think that we're going to see this break down. But I'm also curious to see how everybody in the club is going to be, because they may say they're with Jax now, but do they really understand the extent of what all is going to happen as a result of this? I don't know. And whether they care or not, I don't know as well. Because you see right now a unified group. I mean, these guys basically sat there and said, Jax, we are with you. And they seem to be, supporting any decision he makes. And I think that's going to be very important going down the road. And I'm very interested to see if there's going to be factions forming in the club later on based on Jax's decisions. So I'm very interested to see how that goes down. And then also with Juice, we know that Juice captured, kidnapped Unser and is holding him at Wendy's apartment. I don't think he's going to kill him. I think that Unser's going to last a while. I mean, I'd be very surprised if, they killed Unser off right now at this point. I feel like a lot of these characters have some potential left, and I think that they're going to use some of this potential for a little bit. And I think that Unser is definitely a very big key to the truth, because I think that he's going to eventually discover what actually happened. Because Unser's first off, he's very intuitive, being a police officer, he has those abilities. Plus, he knows the history, and plus, he has a very big, heart for Tara. He really cared about Tara. You saw their relationship throughout the series, and they had a lot of care for each other. Basically, he understands the way that she came up, how esteemed she was as a doctor, and Unser didn't want to see Tara get, taken over by this life of the Sons of Anarchy, which unfortunately it did. I mean, it really became a part of Tara. And basically, I think that Unser is going to be trying to find the truth. He may be, quiet now. I mean, he just had like a little bit of a role in the first episode, really helping Wendy get moved back in. But I think we're going to see Unser definitely have a more active role later on. I think that we're going to see him trying to figure out who did this. And I would not be surprised if Unser is the one that's able to point Jax in Gemma's direction. So we're definitely going to have to wait and see how that plays out. But Juice is definitely in a very difficult spot. And, indications have stated that he's going to be around for a little bit, like he's not going to get killed off very early. And it appears that he's going to the Mayans and it's basically saying, hey, I will give you intel on the Suns. Now, what is that intel? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's related to the guns. I don't know if that's related to something in the past, or if he's going to, give up members' locations and, they're going to end up getting killed. I don't know. And I think that's definitely going to be interesting to see exactly what Juice has to offer, because really there's no reason for the Mayans to be warring with the Suns. And I think that they're definitely going to have to set up a reason for that in order for Juice to flop over. Now, whether they would actually patch him into the Mayans, I don't think. I mean, maybe they might, because I mean, he does have the the Puerto Rican background. He probably would fit in with, even though he is half black on his birth certificate, he's listed as Puerto Rican. So he may get patched into the Mayans, and we may see that he gets protection through the Mayans. We'll be interested to see, but I'm very interested to see what they have in store for Juice, because of the fact that he's on the run, he's desperate, he's wanting to live, he wants protection. I don't think he doesn't want to die at this point. I think he's very afraid of that, and I think that he's basically going to do whatever it has to take to keep him alive. So very interested to see what they do with Juice. Then the other thing is we're getting introduced to a new sheriff, and I think it's going to be very big to see just how she fits in with the rest of this group. She seems to be a little more cooperative towards gang activities versus Roosevelt, who basically just, distanced himself as much as he could. I mean, Roosevelt, despite his dealings with the club, they still had an adversarial relationship. You can't deny that. And I think that what we're going to see here is we're going to see a new type of sheriff, and how is she going to impact this group. And in the preview, it almost looks like it was either the candy shop or it's in Stockton, Borowski's coffee shop. I couldn't tell. It was too fast, but something gets blown up and some members of the club are inside. Now, I don't think that's going to be the death of any of them, but I'll be very interested to see who did it and why, because I really think this is really going to be the season that finally brings the war to Charming. Charming has been very lucky overall not to have any of this blow back into Charming, but I think that's going to end this season. I think we're really going to see a lot of violence in Charming. I think there's going to be a lot of problems within the city limits, and I think that the Suns, this is going to be one of the ways that basically tears them apart, or basically could get them arrested or kicked out of Charming in general. I could see that potentially happening. The Suns leaving Charming, and going somewhere else. I mean, that may be what has to happen. But definitely seems like there's a lot of violent acts going on. There's definitely a lot of tension between these groups. Kind of reminds you of, The Sopranos near the end when the New York Lupertazzi family versus the, Soprano families back and forth just, hitting each other. This may be that season for Sons of Anarchy where you see the Suns hitting the Mayans and the Mayans hitting the Suns and the Chinese hitting the Suns and the back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I really think that we may see that happening in this season and them trying to figure out how do we get this solved. So I'm very interested to see what they have. I definitely feel like we have a lot to look forward to. Excuse me. I definitely feel like we have a lot of things to look forward to. Kurt Sutter has definitely given us a lot to work with, and I really can't wait to see what they have. So, again, I'm going to bring this video to a close. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. Feel free to subscribe. I have more ideas coming up. You can follow me along for the final season as I analyze, give my thoughts, and if you have any video topics, feel free to suggest them. I do have a lot of knowledge on Sons of Anarchy. It's one of my favorite shows, and I love talking about it. So if you have any interest, if you have anything you want to ask me about, feel free. I can do a video topic on anything you like. So thank you, everybody. I really hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.